Hey guys, what's up? My name is La-Rith-Ian and I've recently started playing Rainbow Six Siege again. I haven't really played much since Frostbuck came out, so it was a bit of a shock seeing everything they've done with the game. Though there are plenty of changes I could talk about, for this video I thought I'd just keep it simple and focus on how a returning player views all the new operators. While I haven't played much since the Frostbuck season came out, I did play a bit during the Cav Capito season. Because of that, I'll be covering everything after Operation Skull Rain. I'll be going over what I think of these operators and won't be going too deep into everything about them. I'm basically just going to be using my surface level knowledge since we got 44 operators to go through, and I'm sure you don't want to sit through that, nor do I. Though this should be an interesting video for you guys to see how a returning OG player views everything after being gone so long. Anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this with Operation Red Crow.
As you probably already know, this update brought in Hibana and Echo, two very good operators. We'll go ahead and start with my favorite of the two, Echo, a 5'11" Japanese twink with a kink for giving you a concussion. Honestly, if you've ever tried to plant a bomb with an Echo on the enemy team, you can understand why it's so useful. He can stop you from planting, he can stop you from aiming your gun properly. Fuck man, sometimes he can just stop you from having fun altogether. Though, on the flip side, playing as an Echo is pretty satisfying. You just act like a nuisance to the enemy team and watch them scramble to shoot your drone as your teammates pick them off one by one. I could talk about his weapons and gadgets, but if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not knowledgeable enough on all the guns in this game to talk about them. It would also add way too much extra dialogue, and this video is already long enough as it is. So moving on to Hibana, 34-year-old Japanese cutie that can kill you quicker than Gordon Ramsay can curse someone out. And all you really need to know about her is that she can hard reach from distance, which is a pretty cool improvement from Thermite where you get to get up close and personal with the wall. You can also choose between 2, 4, or 6 pellets, so you can play around with how you want to open up the wall. She definitely gives you a lot of variability on how you want to play, so she's my go-to pick for hard breachers. That's really all I have to say about Operation Red Crow, so let's move on to the next update, Operation Velvet Shell. This brought in Jackal and Mira, two very fun operators that I've definitely enjoyed playing around with. We'll go ahead and do it like last time and get started with my favorite of the two, Mira. Unlike a lot of operators, Mira is very map dependent. You get to pick and choose when to play her, but that doesn't take away from how fun and useful she is. You're keeping an eye on what's going on around the objective, to keeping pressure on a choke and not letting the enemy push up. There's a lot of versatility on how you play with her. The one downside is that a single melee breaks your glass, not letting you see through it. This is easy to cope with by just leaving the wall next to it unreinforced so you can shoot at anyone trying to get close. Though this has resulted in me team killing when some smooth brain tries to reinforce next to my Mira, I don't see that as a con for playing Mira, and more of a con of playing with idiots. There's not much to say about Jackal. He's a very simple operator, but that doesn't mean he's not good. Quite the opposite, in fact. I consider him a very good attacker. I mean, what can I say? The man lives up to his name. I don't know if he has a foot fetish or what, but he can find you just through your feet. I mainly see his ability to track footsteps to ping the enemy as a useful way to hunt down roamers and avoid variables. Just by using his visor and not even pinging the enemy, you can find out if someone has been in the room you're entering or seeing which direction roamers went. Though he only has 3 uses, if you play it right, you should be able to take any gunfights without getting caught off guard. The next season on our list is Operation Blood Orchard, which was the first update to add more than 2 operators. It brought in Legion, Ying, and Ella, all of which I'm not a fan of for a few different reasons. We'll go ahead and touch on those here shortly. Starting with Ying, her entire ability is just having flashbangs on steroids. I can't speak for high level play, but down here in my lobbies, almost any other operator will bring more value since you can just run flashbangs as a gadget. Also, anytime I get a Ying on my team, they just end up missing and flashing me, so I'm a little biased. One upside is that you can flash a room through a wall, but you can just get the same effect by making a hole and tossing a flashbang. So all in all, Ying is the mid of mids. While I can't say much better for Legion, he still brings a more unique ability to the table. Though I still think he's pretty mid for a few different reasons. You get 8 goo proximity mines that do a little finger flick of damage and some slight tick damage as well as some visual disturbance. All in all, it's a mild nuisance at best. With how quick you can pull it out, it really doesn't affect you so much. Some will say the sound cues from someone activating the goo mine will let you know when an enemy is pushing an objective, or just like Ying, the same effect can be done by gadgets, from a bulletproof camera to a proximity alarm to having a good headset for Christ's sakes. Another problem I have with Legion is that you have to wait for them to generate one at a time, basically forcing you to hold down objective if you want to get max value. He's still definitely better than Ying, but still mid nonetheless. I mean, considering how many operators you can choose from, I can't really see why you'd want to play Legion. Moving on to Ella, she's basically just Legion on attack. Her lines concuss enemies, which can be pretty decent if you're trying to hold an angle and stop the enemy from effectively swinging on you. I don't have many bad things to say about her, but neither do I have good things to say. While the best of the three, she's still pretty mid, and I'd pick any other operator over her. In conclusion, Operation Blood Orchard was a mid update. The next update definitely made up for the fumble as Operation White Noise came through with some bangers, releasing 3 new operators, Vigil, Dokkaebi, and Sophia. Personally, I love Sophia, just because of how quick you can rush with her. I mean, her ability is a grenade launcher, which basically has Ash's impact grenades as well as concussion grenades, so you can just blow up the wall, concuss the objective, and rush in and kill everybody. The ability is pretty straightforward and simple, so there's not much else to say, so we can go and move on to the next operator. That being Vigil. Vigil's ability is equally as simple. Drones can't scan him and see him. Pretty much makes him the best operator for roaming. The enemy basically has no way of confirming where you are without getting into a gunfight with you. Especially down here in my lobbies, there's little to no communication between teammates, so Vigil can be a force to be reckoned with when your teammates can't even tell you where he is. Last but not least, we got Dokkaebi. She definitely requires a lot more teamwork to show off all her potential, but definitely worth it when you can. Her ability makes all the enemy's phones emit obnoxious ringing for 12 seconds and disables their use of cameras. This leaves them with 2 options, either A, let it ring giving away their position, or B, take a few seconds to shut it off. Both of which provide ample time for your teammates to push objectives since the enemy can't use cameras, can't hear your team pushing over the phone, and has their position being given away or is distracted for a few seconds turning it off. With the right team, Dokkaebi can be a valuable asset, but I never get that team. White Noise definitely stepped it up and deserves praise for the update. Following this, Operation Chimera didn't slack either, bringing in 2 top-tier operators, Lion and Finka. Honestly, I can't pick a favorite between the 2, but we'll go ahead and start with Lion. The guy's ability pings everyone that moves during its duration, making for some massive plays. Whether you're flashing, fusing, or rushing the objective, it doesn't matter what you do. It gives them 2 options, sit still or give up their position in real time, both of which provide massive advantages for your team. Honestly, there's never going to be a map where Lion isn't useful. The same thing can be said for Finka, man. They're basically 2 sides of the same coin. If you activate her ability, it gives a temporary health boost to her entire team, which is at times enough to turn the tide of a gunfight. Additionally, her ability revives any down teammates, which can help tremendously when they get down in a bad position or across the map. We've all had those teammates that go on their own and get fucking downed or fall off the map. We've all seen it happen. Chimera gave us some very simple but very good operators, which you can't say for some of the later updates. Thankfully though, the next one, Parabellum, is another W update. Since the last one added 2 attackers, Parabellum added 2 defenders, Maestro and Alibi. I'll go ahead and continue with the trend and start off with my favorite, Alibi.
Illusions are fatal. If you waver, you're mine. If you pick wrong, you're mine.
I find the most enjoyment just trolling with Alibi. Since shooting his holograms pings your location, I just love to put him at the entrance of objectives. Just hide them just behind cover so they can't shoot the spawner, but every time they try to shoot into objective, they end up hitting the hologram, basically pinging themselves. Also, after a hologram has been shot a few times, I love to pretend to be one myself and catch the enemy team lacking. Not that useful in ability, but very fun nonetheless.
Reloading!
Maestro, on the other hand, is fun and useful. He has 2 bulletproof cameras that can open up and shoot lasers. I find the most use out of him by denying entry to the objective by breaking their breach charges with his cams. You go and just throw 2 out there and juggle between them. This is especially useful since they can break the glass just with one melee so you can't see through them, and it becomes super vulnerable when you open it up, basically like getting fucking two-tapped. But, you just juggle between them, mess with them, they don't know what camera you're going to use next. You can also use it to deny bomb planting on point. Altogether, a very useful operator. I think it's kind of slept on, I don't see it being used much. Altogether, a very good operator and a rather good update. Up next is an update I have nothing but harsh words for. Grim Sky added Clash and Maverick. Two very useful but very irritating operators. Starting with the one I have the most gripes with, Clash.
This is where you stop.
Clash is a defender that basically has Montang's full shield, but electric. She can damage you and slow you to a limp from a fucking football field away. Not kidding, literally no matter how far away I am from this bitch, when she sees me, I'm down to a limp and taking damage. It is so irritating to play against this bitch. I'm not wasting any more time. She shouldn't even be in the game, so I'm just gonna move on to Maverick.
I was trapped for a long time. Lived and seen things you couldn't imagine. Now I see things in a different light.
Maverick, in my opinion, has one of the most broken abilities in the game. Since I've come back, he's been the character that has irritated me the most. When I used to play, if you wanted to hard breach, you needed EMP, because it was a guarantee that the enemy was going to have a bandit or a mute. But nowadays, people can just run Maverick, get rid of your bandit or your mute very easily, or they can just make small holes throughout the reinforced wall and just shoot into it without you being able to do much to stop them. Honestly, this is one of my least favorite updates, so I'm just going to end it here. I don't have much else to say about him. Alright guys, that concludes part 1. I realized while making this that it was going to take a lot of time and effort, so I decided to separate these into parts. Since I came back to Siege, it's definitely been weird seeing all these wacky new operators, so I hope you enjoyed my outlook on them and the video in general. Anyways, that's all. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.